Hi everyone, and welcome back to Rise with Sarah Sinclair. I am your host, Sarah, and today I have the beautiful Julie Davis, founder of Agent Dynamics, joining me. Thank you so much, Julie, for coming on today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
We've been trying to organize this for a while, and I've met with you a couple of times now, and just your beautiful energy and aura and the wisdom that you bring into the industry is phenomenal. Because Julie, you've got 3 decades of work within the industry, which is just phenomenal. I can't even fathom that because of our age gap, but absolutely amazing. So Julie, for those that don't know you, tell us about Julie. Who is Julie?
Okay, who is Julie? Started off in sales in Canberra, actually, and I thought I'll just try this for 1 year. That was my goal. I'd come out of another business, and I thought I'll just try it for a year. If I don't sell a house in a year, that's okay, I'll quit. So in fact, at the end of that first year, I'd sold, I think, 55 or 52 houses. And this is back in the day, this is back 1990s. And so I thought, okay, something is working here. But it was purely that I just really leveraged in terms of what my natural flow was, which was my ability to connect with people and build relationships.
I love that.
And from there, in 2001, we moved to the Gold Coast and we bought management rights. Didn't know very much about management rights until we got here, and certainly never heard of schoolies, but we survived 6 of those.
Yeah.
And that was great. From there, I went on and I worked with Michael Shegold for about 3 or 4 years, heading up his coaching division of real estate results. And then 10 odd years ago, we branched out into Agent Dynamics. So it's been quite, it's been quite a layered career, which it's very beneficial now because I've seen, really the inside of business. And over the last 10 years, I've worked with hundreds of business owners and got the perspective of what's happening overall in the industry. And I can bring that level of information through to help, my clients with that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So let's talk about, Julie, then. What have you seen that has happened in the industry with, you working so much involved within businesses, organizations, and teams? What has been the biggest change that you have seen?
Look, I think the saddest thing I see in our industry is a turnover of team. I see that, there are so many great people and great leaders in our industry, but there's also the other end of the spectrum where people don't get a really good experience. And I think that's probably one of my main drivers why I do what I do, is that we actually lose so many good people within our industry because they don't have the experience that they need to have to set them up for success.
Yeah.
And so often, Sarah, you would see exactly the same thing, I would think, is that you would see someone in one environment that really, really struggles and then go to somewhere which is much more fruitful and supportive, and they absolutely flourish. You've got to remember that environment wins every time.
Yeah.
And it's got the strongest pull. So if, got someone's not in a great environment, and that was my case, actually. When I was in real estate, I shifted environments because I think I would not have still been in the industry. So leadership is such a critical thing, resourcing our team, having a really systemized process around recruitment and onboarding. And what does that look like? And how do we set them up for success and support them in terms of what they actually need to contribute to their clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And Julie, just as you mentioned that, I've had 2 business development managers that I know quite well and really dearly resign and they don't want to pursue real estate anymore. And unfortunately, that has come down to the environment and feeling lack of support, the lack of resources from their leaders. And I think what you're doing, Julie, and that's why I love Agent Dynamics so much, is that you are filling this gap, because there was this gap. Whereas we're finding that there's so much out there in terms of coaches, mentors, leaders now working with the individual team members. But I feel, and from my personal experience as well, it starts from the top, right? And this is when you're coming in, you're helping and supporting and guiding those leaders so that they can upskill, so that they are clear on the values, so that they have the support, the resources that they require to recruit the right people that align with the values of the business, right? Because culture is everything. And we see that so much now too, Julie, and you would see it, is that we've got more and more people talking about the culture now and what they're doing to embrace that team environment, that supportive environment, that culture environment. So how do you think going forward we can really look at, from a leadership perspective and from an individual perspective, on how they can align together for a fruitful business going forward?
It's a really interesting conversation, Sarah, because what I see sometimes in our industry is that, leaders wish they could have better teams or better businesses, not actually getting better themselves.
Yeah.
And I think as a leader, we have to continue to grow. I think one of the most critical factors is that we look at our team members as human beings rather than commoditizing them as someone who's just stepping into a role. I don't believe anyone comes into our industry to fail, but many do. And it's often, it could be wrong environment, wrong tools, wrong support, wrong company. And I honestly think that, we do have an obligation with our team that we do everything that we can to support them and to give them what they actually need to provide the level of service. Now, we are the least trusted industry.
Yeah.
If you read the Edelman Trust Report, we're right down, I think it's number 2. And I'd be happy to send you a copy of that too, if any of your viewers would like to see that. What the sad thing is, we are losing good people to our industry, and that people are at the point where they're not looking at, when things start not going great for them, they're not addressing it. Then they're waiting until burnout. Sadly, we don't see a lot of performance management and support of one-on-ones with principals and their team. The people are the heartbeat of your business.
Yeah.
And what the other reason people leave, and you would experience this as well, is that there is no career path for them.
It's a big one.
It is a big one, and I think it's one that's really quite overlooked in terms of that we need to have when we're onboarding someone, or even in a recruiting interview, is that what's the career progression available to you? In sales, it's really easy, right? It's like, okay, I'll go out on my own. I'll operate from home. I'll open an office. I'll do whatever. So it's quite easy, and we have seen a lot of property managers who are thriving out there by actually setting up their own business with utilizing their experience. And we've got to realize as business leaders that we've got to do everything to protect our asset base, and that comes from the relationships that your clients or their clients have with property managers. And it also comes down to what are the standards that are implemented within that business, and the uniformity in terms of the whole client experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think, Julie, the other thing is knowing what motivates the individual, because every single one of us will be motivated in a different way. Like, I'm looking at from a BDM perspective, some BDMs will be motivated by money. Some BDMs will be motivated by career progression. Now, that could look like leading a team of BDMs. That could be looking at more opportunities to look at the holistic growth of the organization. So I think what you said really stood out, is because property management back in the day, it was, okay, you're a property manager, that was it. Now people want, okay, what does this look like in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? And especially now with costs of living rising, it's been a topic and a conversation I have with a lot of people now. The pressure is on as well from the leaders, because they're going, okay, well, we've got these team, we need to support them too. So what is their driver? What motivates them? Are they happy to just stay as a property manager? do they want to progress into sales or in business development or leadership? Because I think we're all leaders in our own ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think we all have the ability to step into whatever potential that we would like, that we envision for our lives. So I love that. And I think what we spoke about, you know, a lot of the things that you are doing now is helping from that leadership perspective, Julie. And with that, absolutely amazing. And I love what you have created. So Love Your Business. Can you please tell everyone about Love Your Business?
Sure, I would love to. This has sort of been, it's taken us, I can't even tell you, hundreds and hundreds of hours in terms of putting it together.
Imagine.
What I found, particularly for independent officers, they didn't have resources available to them of, you know, how to standardize their recruitment process, their onboarding, performance management, policies and procedures. So with Love Your Business, it's an area for business owners that they can come in and they use it as a library, a resource as they need it. So they might go, oh, I need to do a standards document, or I need to have policies and procedures. I need to do minutes of a board meeting, all of that sort of thing. So what I'm super excited about is we've got a lot of industry professionals that have come on board to Love Your Business and offered their level of expertise. So as an example, we've got Kristen Porter from Ono Legal. We've got a branding specialist. We've got a social media specialist. We've got a HR specialist, a recruitment specialist. Of course, me, where my wheelhouse is around teams. So we've got contribution compass laid in terms of that framework of integration and taking it to that next step after a team session. And we also have board governance and building better businesses. So in fact, partway through the year, we're going to be launching a applied directorship program, which is specifically for business owners in real estate.
Love that, Julie.
Yeah, so it's really around how do we level up, how do we be better, how do we get better, and having better resources available at very, very low cost. It's I think it's $12 a week, so it's just ridiculous.
Wow.
The cost of it.
Yeah, and I think one of the greatest investments as individuals we can make is on ourselves. We invest in ourselves, then everything around us can flourish. And Julie, one of your sayings is be driven by better. And I love that. And it's something that, and I think you just embody that all the time, because it's being the best versions of ourselves. So, and in our businesses, so that we can then deliver that to our team members so they can be the best versions of themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, and the reason I thought about that, and when I thought about be better, and I thought that's what everybody wants. We want to have, a better life, better health, better wealth. Like everything is really around be better, but we have to have the tools and the resources and the support to be better.
Yeah.
You can't just wish it's going to happen without, really investing in that and spending time to be better.
Yeah, I love that, Julie. There's like synergy here. While you're up leveling the directors and the businesses, I'm up leveling the BDMs on the ground, and it's a beautiful level up all around. So you mentioned your contribution compass profiling, which I have had the experience of doing it, and I loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, so exciting, because mine came back as a coach. So for those that don't know what the contribution compass profiling is, can you explore and tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I would love to. I think profiling's been around for many, many years. And I guess the key to really utilizing any tool that you're using is the depth of understanding and being able to apply it to everyday life. Now, where it's important is on your self-awareness level to understand how can you maximize the contribution that you've got to get the best results in the easiest and most enjoyable way.
Yeah.
Okay. But then we have a look at it in terms of a team. how do we build great teams around us where we're actually leveraging, our strengths, but having someone working with us in those areas that are not our strengths. And I know that recently you and Hermione did some work together, and I did a little overview of I did a team profile for you, and just to have a look, what would that look like working together? And it was just perfect. We had a really great graph on that and a really good blend. Now I'm sure that either someone's been in a role that they could do that role by skill, but it's not necessarily really inspired them. They haven't gone home with a sense of satisfaction, and they've really noticed in that's just not filling that space for them, and they will move on. And it's because we do have a need to contribute, and skill is really important. It's critically, I think that in recruitment, I think there's 3 things that are critically important. The first thing is a character, is the alignment of the values and standards within that business. And when I say that, I'm not talking about words on the wall. I'm talking about what is actually lived and breathed in the values. And so does that person, and conversely, does that company share our values? Because it's critically important. Because once again, it comes down to environment. The second thing that we look at is a natural attunement to that role. Now, when we look, there's 8 different profiles, and each of those different profiles has a superpower and will bring something really special to an organization. Now, we look at then and say, does that person have the natural attunement to do that job? Now, when I say, can they do that job or that role, can they do it consistently as if it was their own business, because it's something they really love to do? So we measure that with contribution compass profile. And then the third thing is we look at skills testing. Now, often when I ask this question, I get a very blank look from business owners when I say, as part of your recruitment process, do you skills test? And very few do, sadly. If you knew those 2 critical things, we wouldn't have the turnover of team that we have. So even if we're skills testing and that person ticks box 1 and 2, we know where we can level them up and give them support to be even better. Yeah. But so often that we look at, when we look at, and I talk to business owners, is that, well, that person couldn't do everything that was on the resume. Well, resumes are a great work of fiction. Some people will interview really, really well and really naturally, and they can build rapport really naturally. But there are other people that could have been very skilled for that job and been the right person, but couldn't really interview or have the confidence to interview the way, say, with somebody with inspiring or activating energy. Yeah. And so all of the key things we actually have on that. If you go to my website, we have I think it's under recruiting on the menu. It's called the contribution identifier. Now, what that is, Sarah, it's completely free. But as when somebody answers the 25 questions to have their profile done, you ask 25 questions about the role, and it will give you a report which tells you exactly who you need to have in that role.
Love that.
Okay. And when we work with teams and we profile the team, it will highlight any talent gaps within that team. Now, as an individual have an energy or a profile, as will a team. And it's very important that we have balance within that team, because I'm sure, like me, like all of us, we've been in a team that's got a really dominant energy. Okay, and that can become very overbearing or stifling for other people and really hold them back. So it's really understanding, how do we look at the roles, we look at the 4 key pillars of any business. We look at the roles and we look at the energy, and we can be very strategic in terms of our recruitment.
I love that. This is so fitting. The previous recording I did, we spoke a lot about energy and values, and it's again a theme for today. So I think, directors, leaders, PMs, BDs, if you're watching, like really, get to know yourself and your energy and your values. But Julie, what happens though if directors or businesses haven't identified their values? What happens then?
Okay, well, normally they're very unclear about their path. They're very unclear of what they stand for. Now, this is like a lot of people really struggle with coming up with their values. And I think if you look, hindsight, you look at and say, what are the things that are most important to me? Where do I spend my time? Where do I spend my money?
Mm.
Okay. And you can really get some good elicitation out of looking at that. Now, say for someone who they say, oh, fitness is a high value for me. But then if they reflect and look, well, how much time have they actually spent, or how committed have they been? If they haven't, that's absolutely not a value. And honestly, we see honesty, integrity on all of that, which they're very shallow words.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's really important to have, as a business owner, is to have that really clear value proposition, who you are in the marketplace and what do you stand for, that you can attract team members and be an enviable leader.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really looking at in terms of, often I've seen people like, I just can't get good people. Well, we need to go, okay, how are we representing ourselves and what are we offering to get people?
Yeah.
And the landscape of real estate has changed in terms of recruitment, is that we want people wanting to work more hybrid, work from home. So you just need to be really clear in terms of how equipped are you to do that. Is that in your value proposition? Understand if it's not, that's okay. But a lot of people are now attracted to it because COVID gave us an opportunity to really rethink a lot of things.
Yes.
Sadly, I think this point that we're at now is we've gone back to post-COVID again because everybody's just got caught back up in all of the busyness and all of that. So
yeah.
Take away from that.
It's an interesting word, Julie, because I hear that a lot. I personally don't like the word busy. If someone says I've been busy, well, tell me what you've been doing. Yeah. Like I want to know more. Like, what does that mean to be busy? Does it just mean you've got a lot filled in your day, but is it fulfillment work that you're doing, or are you just being productive or proactive? I think life can get busy, but what are the things that are consuming your time that makes it busy? Because I almost have this this busy to me symbolizes like chaos or hectic. Yeah. So I think
it's so interesting we're talking about this right now. I was on a call with my coach this morning and he was talking about a video which I've actually just put up in Love Your Business.
Okay.
And it is it's about her name is Dr. Dari Long, and it's a TED talk, right? So I'll give you the link and the viewers, you can access that.
Amazing.
But it is actually, when people say they're busy, what they're saying is I'm not in control. And so it's really systemizing that. She talked about the emergency room in terms of, your life is that rather than saying I'm busy, it's I'm ready.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm ready for this situation. Because what we've got to think about is capability. And we're all so capable.
Yeah.
But we go into overwhelm. We allow that to threaten everything else because it just filters out. But it is a matter of, you do have to be in a busy world. You have to be super organized.
Yeah.
And it's like looking at those areas, where are you not organized, where you could be organized? Where are those areas where you might need to have help or outsource? What can we do constructively to alleviate those problems, rather than just getting in the whole vortex of that is this go out of control when you do that.
Yeah. And I see this play out so much in the industry and especially working with individuals. It's especially when it comes to time management. I'm like, okay, look at your day. Where are you spending your time? Are you being reactive or are you being proactive? Do you feel organized? Are you taking some moments to pause and reflect throughout your day so that you don't feel overwhelmed? Because overwhelmed, we cause that ourselves. Stress
Absolutely.
cause from ourselves, and there are things that we can do to alleviate that so that we are in control, like you said, of our day, of our feelings, of our thoughts, of our what's happening in our mind, so that we've not got all this chaos happening here, you know, and being more of a state of flow. It's been a big word at the moment, in flow. And
Absolutely.
I like this. It's when we are organized, we have the space to allow more things to just happen throughout the day and be okay with that. Yeah.
And there's a great book, which I'm a big fan of, Greg McKeown. The book is called Essentialism.
I love that book, Julie. I love
It's such a good book. That and Effortless, such a good book. And Atomic Habits, they're the trio.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not about, it's just that we're so used to saying yes, yes, yes. It's what do we need to say no to?
Yeah.
Now, when I do my team sessions, we don't talk so much about time management. We talk about energy management.
Energy again. There's that word.
Yeah. We look at in terms of, like, you know, with our 4 different energies of what are the tasks of your business or the elements of your business that fall into one of those 4, let's call them pillars. What are the 4 pillars? And where do we need to get our best results? What area do we need to work in? And it's energy blocking.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're not doing things and compartmentalizing things, you're pinballing, right? And it will make such a big difference in terms of your output and how you manage things. We do the same with color coding when we talk about different personality types. And I've got a lot of property management businesses that have color coded their clients.
Such a great idea. Yeah.
Get on the phone. What does this person need? So we know that if they're a blue person, it's going to be a very short conversation. But if they're yellow, you know, you need to spend that extra time.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Joe Shannon. We did a workshop last week on this, and we were talking about the client metrics, and the same thing that you're talking about with teams is doing that with your clients, so that you know how your client wants to be communicated with, what energy you need to give to that client. And it might take a bit of time at the start to do it, but then when it comes to putting out content or doing newsletters or emailing them, you know how this person wants to be communicated with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Reach them, you know, in their mind, body, soul, everything. So I love that you just mentioned that, Julie.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you something. So business development managers, their contribution is huge in terms of what they do for a business, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Essentially, my view on it is that they're a business within the business. They're out there, they are talking to people, they're networking, they are upskilling themselves, and they are onboarding. They have to do marketing, or even helping the client prepare their home for rent. A lot of administration tasks in there, a lot of negotiations that will come up that the BDMs need to do, and also then looking at the relationship that they form with people and retaining that client as well. What typically do you think would be the compass profiling for a business development manager?
That's a really interesting question. I recently did an event where it was a property management event. And so there was a lot of business development managers. We profiled 50 people. 33% of those, or let's say half of them, were either in inspiring energy, which is coach.
Same as my energy.
Yep. Going down to a connector profile into a custodian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really definitely on that right hand going down to the bottom of the compass of where we see there's exceptions always.
Yeah.
But because we're a people industry, we are going to find a lot more inspiring energy. And particularly we look at, BDM is around, solving problems for someone. It's about really connecting with someone. It's about being resourceful.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do find that. In fact, I've got a client over in Perth, and they've just put on another property manager, and we profiled her yesterday, and she's come back a coach as well. So in that team, we've got 3 coaches and 1 custodian. I would like to see perhaps some more refining energy in that team. And the reason I say that, and what's really important when we look at context of teams, and we look at the 4 different energies, each of those energies have a different perspective on things. And it's really important when and this is very true as well when we're looking at boards, and why the makeup of a board is absolutely critical, because we need to have diversity of thought and vision in any team. Because if we have a look at those 4 different areas, you know, we need to have those analytical people to look through and ask the how question. But there is also a time when we ask the how question. We're not going to ask it. We're going to ask the what question. Okay, when we're coming up, these are our people who are more innovative. These are the people that are more visionary, and they tend to think outside of the square. They're very good at coming up with ideas or solutions. That's the first question that we ask, is the what question. But then we move over to the who question, which is our market, right? Who are the people? Who are the people who are going to be our clients? Who are the people who are going to be in our team? And then so once we've sorted the who question and we've asked that, we then go down to the where and the when. So we look at the logistics, okay? And we look at the market timing, and we look at all of those things, and the process in which everything is going to happen. These are 3 critical things. We then move on to the how. Is that all going to happen? Do we have the systems and the processes? Is it financially a good thing? And, you know, all of them much more detailed.
Yeah.
Research, all of that sort of thing. So they're the 4 core pillars of any business, but it's the core pillar of a relationship. It's the foundation of what we do in real estate. And it's absolutely critical that we've got the right people in the right roles.
Yeah.
You know, because if you don't, the cost to a business owner is about 1.5 times a year's salary to replace that person. But what we've got to also look at is, once we either put someone into a team or remove someone for a team, dynamically that team shifts and moves and has to adjust to that.
Yeah,
and we've got to be very thoughtful in terms of when we're making up those teams. You know, what is it that, at what stage of the process does that person need to be in the team? What's going to be their area of specialization? And I think we're looking more and more at specialization within our industry.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, it was interesting. You said about the BDMs being inspiring and more of the coach energy, because a lot of business development managers that I work with, they all don't like doing administration. They don't like doing it, because that's not that they want to be out there. They want to be talking to people, connecting with people. And another interesting thing, Julie, is a lot of now businesses are embracing remote assistance, because they're very good at the other side of, the systems, the processes, the administration tasks. And I think I love seeing more businesses also embracing that to assist and support their team with, I wouldn't say a weakness, because it's not, I don't really like that terminology, weakness, but identifying, okay, this is the person's strength.
The gap. It's the gaps in the business. Yeah.
And I'm really loving, seeing that more come up now. The amazing work that remote assistants do. So what do you think, Julie, going forward? So like 2024 next year, I've spoken to a lot of people, and they have said, there's going to be a big emphasis on connections and people within the industry. Do you agree with that? Do you feel like that is going to be
I absolutely do. I think, ultimately everyone wants to feel valued and special. We're not, as human beings, that's like, we've just got to look at Maslow hierarchical needs in terms of what we actually need and our key drivers of what we need. I think that is your point of difference, right? We can use technology, but technology doesn't have a conscience.
Yeah.
Technology doesn't, it doesn't think logically in terms of, it can provide a lot of information and a service, but as humans, particularly when we're looking at inspiring into sustaining energy. It's all of that is all driven by relationship, 100%. And if we have a look in terms of, people want to feel that they're valued, they want to feel to have that relationship. And this is the thing in our industry that will cause people to move an agency or go to a more automated system, is that every time they pick up the phone, they've got a different property manager. It's so damaging. So we need to have, number one is we need to train our people properly. If you had $500,000, $750,000 worth of shares, and you were to go into, say, JB Ware or a stockbroker and said, here we are, here's all of my assets here, who's going to look after it? And that's what we're doing to property managers. I find that a lot of them don't even, or they're not taught the fundamental basics of property investment and what does a property investor need, in terms of how do we need to resource these people?
Yeah.
Keep turning them over.
Oh, you just really said that statement, Julie. It's pretty shocking though that we are now specialists and advisors, but there are a lot of people still in the industry that don't know the ins and outs of actually owning an investment property and what that means to someone, because there's still, the stats are out. A majority of investors in Australia are mum and dads. Okay, they're not these billionaires out there that just have money to just blow.
You're absolutely correct.
There'll be emotions attached to that. They are literally relying on a person to look after their asset. So these people, they need to be trained and skilled in, well, what does the process look like for someone to purchase an investment property? What does the process look like for them to hold an investment property and to help them create that wealth and health throughout that journey? And I think this is still a gap that I see in a lot of businesses. So I would hope and I would like to see, going forward, that more people are upskilled and trained to, as I call it, the investor language, to know the investor language and know the drivers of investors, because we need more investors to hold their properties, right?
Absolutely. And we need to also to create the ancillary businesses around that is going to support those people as well. So the relationships as a property manager, a BDM, of who you bring into your sphere of influence, that and trust. It's a little bit with like love your business, right? Everybody that is in there is someone I've got a personal relationship with, and I would totally 100% trust referring a client onto them. Absolutely. And this is what because trust is, trust is a new currency, right? Because if we don't have trust, we don't have anything.
Yeah.
And, as you said, you are more of an advisor. You're an asset manager. You're an advisor. And, it is the responsibility that we set up that framework, that we access that training for our team, because as a business owner, that is what's going to build your value within your business.
Love that.
It's going to keep people don't leave for money, right? They leave for environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Julie, I love you. I tell you that all the time, and I'm so glad that we're connected. But thank you so much for coming on today and sharing so much wisdom. I will share your links to connect with you, and those links that you also mentioned today, I will pop in the YouTube channel notes as well. But
yes,
thank you so much for everything that you do, and just really filling this space. And I think it is really needed, and looking forward to seeing what we do in 2024.
Thanks, Sarah. It's been really great. And like ditto to you, I'm hoping that your BDM event is going to become an annual
event,
because I tell you, I couldn't be there, unfortunately, but like the reviews that I've heard are mind-blowing.
Thanks, Julie. Well, we definitely would love for you to be along next year. We're actually planning on 2 events next year, which is very exciting. So we'd love to have you and the team involved there. But yeah, Julie, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Lots of love for you.
Okay. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. Bye.